Welcome back to the show today. I want to share some thoughts with you on who is on your team. As you see behind me, these are some pillars from a building in Washington, D.C., and I chose this particular location and this background because I think it's kind of like important for you and I to remember that if we want to have people on our team, they need to be like pillars that hold up immense structures or opportunities in our lives. Palmer Chichin writes, "A tribe of people formed on Facebook wanted to make vital organs more accessible to desperate people in need of a transplant. In the first 24 hours, more than 5,000 people signed up as organ donors. Tribal passion," he writes, "runs deep. Tribes have glue because they share a shared belief. They hold on to a shared belief. Their common faith fills them with purpose and a sense of oneness. Like a college's football team, taking the field as clear underdogs, they become one. They finally find a deep strength within. They play with passion that no individual will find on his or her own. And they win." And that's the entire message of this author, because there is power in the tribe. You say, "John, I'm not part of a tribe." Well, I would bear to differ with you, because when you are part of a family, when you're working for a company or a shop, or you're part of a team, you are in fact part of a tribe. There's an ancient story a man shared when he lived in Africa. The story is called "One Man Cannot Lift a House." One man cannot lift a house. When a man is ready to build his family a new hut, he calls the people of the tribe together to make mud bricks. The clay is dug from the muddy edges of the swamp and carried in brick-shaped wooden hoppers from the pit to the home site, where the clay will dry before being stacked into a kiln and fired. The hoppers are toted with a jog so the mud will settle and fit into the mold. It's backbreaking, exhausting work. One man could never do it alone. One man cannot lift a house. However, when the tribe rallies and collaborates, they will do it in one day. Think about that a minute. You can't build a house alone. I guarantee you that not one individual built this building. Guarantee it. I guarantee you that you can't build your life by yourself and without the help of other people in your own life. The story goes on. "I learned early on that in the jungle, nobody walks alone. The Sapo, S-A-P-O people, always ask each other the same favor when they are about to leave. Quote, 'Carry me halfway.' They say, 'Carry me.' They actually mean, 'Walk with me. Come be with me. I don't want to walk alone, especially at night.' They say halfway just to be polite. No one ever only walks halfway. They always carry you home." Now you say, "John, I don't necessarily have people in my life that would do that for me." What I would suggest to you then is that you start doing that for other people consistently. There are some tribes who accept the status quo, and there are other tribes who challenge and stretch the status quo. I think tribes believe in an idea. In fact, they believe in multiple ideas, and they can create a form of excitement that's just dramatic. I know people that I have had and have in my own life that just them being in the room lights up the entire room. Their presence, their excitement, their passion, their smile lifts and lights up the entire room. The great coach Phil Jackson shared, "The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team." I guarantee you that if you took out all of these pillars behind me and left one, this building will collapse. I guarantee it. However, each pillar in its right place holds the building up. So if you and I think that we can lift our lives and support our lives alone, us being one pillar, and think that we're going to excel and do anything great alone as one pillar, I can guarantee you that that's a wrong concept. It took me a while to get that through my head, especially in my late teens, early 20s. Then I thought I had to have all the answers. I had to know everything about everything in order to excel in life, when in fact that was so stupid. Why would I think that when I can't possibly know everything about everything? John Maxwell, who was a pastor of a church for decades and then became a teacher and a leadership expert, he said one time, to collaborative team members, completing one another is more important than competing with one another. Again, completing one another is more important than competing with one another. I can't say it enough times in these episodes that it's critically important that if you want to build a life that's extraordinary, you have to surround yourself with people that are maybe decades beyond your opportunity right now. That is, people that have paid the price over and over again, that have achieved some extraordinary things in their lives, and learn from them. What I'm saying is you don't have to reinvent the wheel every day in order to excel and do something that's extraordinary. You need to be also very careful what ideas you share with the entire team. Let me kind of share a bigger story behind that. There are some people that may be in your team or in your tribe that maybe haven't reached your level yet. Maybe in this tribe you're in or you're attempting to be in, you're a level 10 in this tribe, and a third of the people in your tribe are level 3 or level 4. There are some things that you should not share with the level 3 and 4 people, because that will scare the stuffings out of them, because they're not ready. They haven't reached level 7 and 8 that you achieved in order to get to 10, because they're still down on level 3 and 4. What would happen if you chose to share some of the opportunities, some of the scary, some of the things that look insurmountable with level 3 and 4 people, is then they will begin to panic, and that panic is like putting gasoline on a fire. This has happened for thousands of years. Leaders, in quotes, have shared visions, if you will, goals, dreams, ideas, concepts with the entire team, and they forgot that they have level 3 and 4 people in the team that were panicked by the vision, by the goals, by the dreams of the level 10 leader. What I'm saying is, yes, you can have tribes, but you have to have multiple tribes. You have to have tribes that you're mentoring, because you're a 10, and these people in this example are 3 and 4s. Then you have to have people in your tribe that are 15 and 20 level people, that you're learning from those. You don't say much, you listen way more than you speak, because they're 15 and 20 caliber people. You learn from people that are smarter than you. Steve Jobs said years ago, he said, "My model for business is the Beatles, the rock band. They were four guys who kept each other, who kept each other kind of negative tendencies in check. They balanced each other, and the total was greater than the sum of the parts. That's how I see business. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people." I watched an interview not that long ago where Steve Wozniak was the person being interviewed. Steve Wozniak is the partner of the late Steve Jobs, who created Apple. I didn't know some of the stuff that he was sharing in the interview. I thought that Steve Jobs was the engineer type, that he knew all the minute details of how to invent and create a lot of this hardware and software that eventually evolved into Apple. That's not the case at all, according to Steve Wozniak. Steve, was the creator mostly of a lot of the innovation that was the initial springboard, if you will, for Apple. So what I'm saying to you is that if you leverage the strengths of the people in your tribe, you're going to get a whole lot farther, a whole lot faster, instead of thinking that you need to be an expert in every single area of your life. Robert Frost wrote years and years ago, decades ago, he said, I am not a teacher, but I am an awakener. I am not a teacher, I am an awakener. So there are people that you need to surround yourself with that will, frankly, awaken you to do things that you never thought possible. I've told this story several times on these episodes that I had lunch with a friend named Paul, and Paul 2 or 3 times challenged me to do something that was way outside of my comfort zone. I view Paul as a 15 or a 20, when at the time I was maybe a 7 or an 8 in certain areas in my life. So I looked up to Paul as somebody was challenging me to step up and do something that was out of my comfort zone. Paul was in my tribe. I purposely wanted and want Paul in my tribe as somebody to look up to learn from, to hold me accountable. Think about that a second. If you haven't placed people in your life that hold you accountable to do the things that are scary, to do the things that are intimidating, then decades are going to pass by and you're never going to realize the opportunities that, frankly, you deserve in your own life. You see, it's up to you to surround yourself with people that, as I shared moments ago, that can help you lift, that can help you build and lift a house. I saw on TV, not on TV, on the internet not that long ago, there was a group of Amish men, I mean like a lot of them, I can't remember how many, let's say 150 Amish men, that lifted a barn. They literally lifted a pole barn and moved it several hundred feet, I believe, to another location on this guy's property. Well, the property owner couldn't lift the barn himself, obviously, so he recruited his tribe, his friends, to help him relocate this pole barn. It's kind of like the same thing in your own life. If you think that you're going to be able to realize any kind of success, you are completely wrong, because nobody on the planet has achieved any level of success on their own. E.M. Forster wrote, "Spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon." Again, spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. What I'm saying is, if you just keep eating baby food for the rest of your life, or thinking of yourself as less than exceptional or less than extraordinary, guess what is going to happen? Then you're not going to achieve anything great. As we tape this show right now, we have a little grandson. And as the date we tape this show, he's 5 months old. Well, he's now evolving from level 1 baby food, which is like a fluidy type of product, to a more solid baby food. Level 2, I think it's called, baby food. Because level 1 isn't really doing too much for this little guy. So he's evolving to level 2 because he can handle a little bit more. I wonder how many of us, maybe you, maybe me sometimes, are still purposely buying level 1 baby food because we don't think we can handle level 2 baby food, much less solid food. I'm thinking that if you and I look at ourselves in the mirror and realize that we are more capable than we think we're capable of, we can achieve so much more, but it's not going to happen unless you surround yourself with people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. You say, John, how can I do that? Well, they're all around you. Tribes are everywhere around you, but there are people in your life that can't see past their own nose. Those are the people that, frankly, you don't want on your team. Those are people who don't know that they don't know. Let me share another personal example. I'm not going to name names, but there's an individual that I know quite well who for a long time, I'll say about 10 years, did not know that they did not know. They did not know that they did not know because they chose to hang around people. They chose to join a tribe of people that did not know that they did not know. So In my mind, I would think that if I chose to hang around people that did not know that they did not know, then I would probably develop the habits of people who did not know that they did not know. That would make sense, right? Well, this person eventually reached a point in their life where they then realized through some very difficult and painful times that they now are realizing that they know that they don't know. That is a huge step for you and me and for this other person to realize that now they know that they don't know. That is a huge elevation in intelligence, in self-awareness, in self-esteem. Because if you and I know that we don't know, then we can learn from people who know that they know. Think about that a minute. When you learn the fact and realize the fact that you know that you don't know, then that opens up your mind, your heart, your life, your intelligence to learn from people who now know that they know. And that, for some people, takes a long time. And for some people who choose not to watch these types of shows or read really good books, then they're going to live a life for the rest of their lives not knowing that they don't know. Martin Sheen wrote, "Kids don't always stop to judge or analyze a new experience unless the adults around them react strongly. Otherwise, they just take in the experience and move on to the next one." There's so many examples of people that will stop you in your tracks. They'll put fear in your heart. They'll put fear in your mind because they haven't done it before. You see, the ability to see through the mass of negativity is critical if you want to overtake what's promised to you. Let me say it again. Your ability to see through the mass of negativity is critical if you want to overtake and embrace what's promised to you. This is critical. This happened throughout the centuries. People had to see past the brick walls. They had to see past the negativity. They had to see past the empty ground. Walt Disney comes to mind. Walt Disney World is built on a swamp. When they first looked at this property, it was nothing. It was swampland. And now it's, I don't know how many acres of fun times for millions and millions of people every year. Think about that in your own life. Let me share another story. Many years ago, 2 salesmen were sent by a British shoe manufacturer to some third world country to investigate and report back on market potential. The first salesman reported back, quote, "There is no potential here. Nobody wears shoes." The second salesman reported back, "There's massive potential here. Nobody wears shoes." What's interesting to me is in that story is that one person in one tribe can be a difference maker that's dramatic in ways that we can't even realize because they see the opportunity in this example of there's a lot of people here without shoes. We need to sell some shoes. Versus there's nobody here that wears shoes. We can't sell shoes here. Think about that. Think about the time that you've reframed some things in your life that have been so negative because nobody else in your family has ever done that before. So then you think that because nobody else has done that in my family before or your family before, that means that nobody can do it because it's never been done before. Well, think about the automobile. Think about the airplane. It's never been done before. Well, what if those people who invented this stuff believe that? That since it's never been done before, it's no sense in even trying. Aren't you glad that they decided to keep working, or the light bulb, or whatever other thing that's been invented that you use every day, the iPhone? Imagine if Steve Wozniak hadn't collaborated with some really smart people, right? To create these amazing forms of technology. William Arthur Ward said one time, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, and the superior teacher demonstrates. The great teacher inspires." I can still think about some of the teachers that I had in high school and middle school. One is a guy named Stephen Alsop, and another is Don Everett. 2 of these guys really opened up my mind in ways about the world that living in South Baltimore, Maryland, I didn't really see or appreciate. They opened my eyes, which then over decades later got me to look in certain areas in my life that are now worldwide. And I think those seeds were planted back beginning in 1979, first with Stephen Alsop, then a year or two after that with Don Everett. You need people in your tribe that are going to challenge you to see beyond your own zip code. They're going to challenge you to see what's been going on in your own mind, to kind of erase or at least paint over or reframe some of the baggage that you've been carrying around for a lot of years. Abraham Lincoln is said to have said, "Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?" Again, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? I'll tell you for sure that there are people that you don't like that you can learn from. See, John, what are you talking about? I'm not saying you hang around them. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that you can learn from them to not do certain things because they're doing some things that are obviously wrong, that are tearing people apart. You can even learn from the bad guys. You can learn not to do that because what they're doing is not going to get you where you really need to go in life. I love the quote by Fred Rogers, and if you don't know who Fred Rogers is, it's if you're old enough to remember the TV show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I used to watch that when I was small. He said, quote, "When I say it's you I like, I'm talking about that part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever see, hear, or touch. That deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate. Peace that rises triumphant over war, and justice that proves more powerful than greed." If you really want to change the world, you need to realize that it starts with you. It starts how you think. It starts what you do every day. It starts with your daily agenda. It starts with you writing down every day things that you need to do and even semi-long-term goals, meaning in the next month, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 5-year goals out. If you don't have those things in writing, I'm telling you, you're going to grow old and realize you're going to look back one day and say, you know what, I've wasted decades of my life and now I'm too old, too frail, time has slipped by, nobody's going to be listening to me because decades have gone by. Maximize 24 hours in a day, every day. There's an ancient story about a guy named Paul, and Paul is said in the storyline to partner with a guy named Silas, S-I-L-A-S. And Silas was not really like Paul at all. Paul was the type A personality, and his way or the highway, and he was very aggressive and very opinionated. Whereas Silas was more of the encourager. He was more of the type of guy that wanted to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, we are the world. So Silas kind of toned down Paul a little bit, and Paul kind of pulled Silas along to do some things that were eventually became to be pretty extraordinary. The reason why I shared that piece is Paul decided to build his tribe with people that weren't exactly like him. The temptation for you and I think, sometimes is to surround ourselves with people that are just like us, and that is not a good idea. If you want to realize anything great, you need to surround yourself with honest, ethical, hardworking people that have strengths that are different than you, that have personality styles that are different than you. I have people around me that are type A personalities, very choleric, very outgoing, very in your face. I have people around me that are very phlegmatic, people that are very logical, like Spock in the old Star Trek show, very stoic, very logical, very detail-oriented, which keeps me in line with some of the areas that I'm weak at. Then I have people that are very outgoing and bubbly, not too organized, but very outgoing, that pulls me consistently out of my shyness to do some of the things that I know that I should be doing for the benefit of other people. Oprah Winfrey said one time, "Everyone wants to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down." Let me share it again. Everyone wants to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down. So I hope a couple of ideas in this story, this segment, this episode, will give you some encouragement to surround yourself with some really, really smart people. I'll end with a quote by Dale Carnegie, who said, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." Take a story, take a lesson, take a sentence out of this episode and leverage it every day to create a life that is extraordinary, that only you can create. My name is John Carver. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back real soon.